This stop is Richmond Terrace and Port Richmond Avenue. Next stop, Port Richmond Avenue and Dunn Street. This stop is Port Richmond Avenue and Dunn Street. Next stop, Port Richmond Avenue and Harrison Avenue. Transfers available to S46 and S96 Limited. This stop is Port Richmond Avenue and Harrison Avenue. Next stop, Port Richmond Avenue and Charles Avenue. Transfers available to SIM3 and SIM35. This stop is Port Richmond Avenue and Charles Avenue. Next stop, Port Richmond Avenue and Clinton Place. Transfers available to S44 and S94 Limited. This stop is Port Richmond Avenue and Clinton Place. Next stop, Port Richmond Avenue and Blackford Avenue. This stop is Port Richmond Avenue and Blackford Avenue. Next stop, Port Richmond Avenue and Hooker Place. This stop is Port Richmond Avenue and Hooker Place. Next stop, Port Richmond Avenue and Orange Avenue. This stop is Port Richmond Avenue and Orange Avenue. Next stop, Port Richmond Avenue and Dixon Avenue. This stop is Port Richmond Avenue and Dixon Avenue. Next stop, Port Richmond Avenue and Smith Place. This stop is Port Richmond Avenue and Smith Place. Next stop, Forest Avenue and Willowbrook Road. Transfers available to S48, S57 and S98 Limited. This stop is Forest Avenue and Willowbrook Road. Next stop, Forest Avenue and Willow Road West. This stop is Forest Avenue and Willow Road West. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Munsey Place. Transfers available to S44, S94 Limited, SIM30, SIM33 and SIM34. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Munsey Place. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Vedder Avenue. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Vedder Avenue. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Baron Hirsch Cemetery. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Baron Hirsch Cemetery. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Jules Drive. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Jules Drive. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Goethals Road North. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Goethals Road North. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Lamberts Lane. Transfers available to SIM4, SIM4X, SIM8 and SIM8X. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Lamberts Lane. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Lander Avenue. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Lander Avenue. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Merrill Avenue. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Merrill Avenue. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Victory Boulevard. Transfers available to S62, S92 Limited and SIM32. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Victory Boulevard. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Forest Street. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Forest Street. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Carnegie Avenue. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Carnegie Avenue. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Science Road. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Science Road. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Amsterdam Place. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Amsterdam Place. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Rivington Avenue. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Rivington Avenue. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Rockland Avenue. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Rockland Avenue. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Travis Avenue. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Travis Avenue. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Nome Avenue. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Nome Avenue. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Richmond Hill Road. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Richmond Hill Road. Next stop, Staten Island Mall at Ring Road and Macy's. Transfer available to S79 SBS. This stop is Staten Island Mall at Ring Road and Macy's. Next stop, Staten Island Mall at Ring Road and Platinum Avenue. This stop is Staten Island Mall at Ring Road and Platinum Avenue. Next stop, Yukon Avenue and Richmond Avenue. Transfers available to S55, S56, S61, S91 Limited and SIM31. This stop is Yukon Avenue and Richmond Avenue. Next stop, Yukon Avenue and Target Driveway. This stop is Yukon Avenue and Target Driveway. Next stop, Forest Hill Road and Richmond Avenue. This stop is Forest Hill Road and Richmond Avenue. Next stop, Eltingville and Transit Center. Transfers available to S74, SIM1, SIM5, SIM6, SIM7, SIM10, SIM15, SIM22 and SIM31. This stop is Eltingville and Transit Center. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Drumgoole Road East. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Drumgoole Road East. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Barlow Avenue. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Barlow Avenue. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Leverett Avenue. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Leverett Avenue. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Augusta Avenue. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Augusta Avenue. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Cotton Avenue. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Cotton Avenue. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Memphis Avenue. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Memphis Avenue. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Cyril Avenue. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Cyril Avenue. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Wilson Avenue. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Wilson Avenue. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Eltingville Boulevard. Transfer available to Staten Island Railway. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Eltingville Boulevard. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Amboy Road. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Amboy Road. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Oakdale Street. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Oakdale Street. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Sycamore Street. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Sycamore Street. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Coke Boulevard. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Coke Boulevard. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and Shirley Avenue. This stop is Richmond Avenue and Shirley Avenue. Next stop, Richmond Avenue and King Street. This stop is Richmond Avenue and King Street. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Richmond Avenue. Transfers available to S54 and S78. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Richmond Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Hales Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Hales Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Woods of Arden Road. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Woods of Arden Road. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Arden Avenue. Transfer available to SIM23. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Arden Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Holdridge Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Holdridge Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Barclay Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Barclay Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Lipset Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Lipset Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Lipset Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Poyon Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Poyon Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Wendy Drive. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Wendy Drive. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Arbutus Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Arbutus Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Huguenot Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Huguenot Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Luton Avenue. Transfers available to S55, S56, SIM2 and SIM24. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Luton Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Cornelia Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Cornelia Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Seguin Avenue. Transfer available to SIM25. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Seguin Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Inez Street. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Inez Street. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Bayview Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Bayview Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Woodvale Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Woodvale Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Sherrott Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Sherrott Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Kenny Road. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Kenny Road. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Cunningham Road. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Cunningham Road. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Richard Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Richard Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Page Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Page Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Bedell Avenue. Transfer available to SIM26. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Bedell Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Jolene Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Jolene Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Sprague Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Sprague Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Yetman Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Yetman Avenue. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Brighton Street. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Brighton Street. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Chelsea Street. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Chelsea Street. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Carteret Street. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Carteret Street. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Connecticut Street. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Connecticut Street. Next stop, Highland Boulevard and Craig Avenue. This stop is Highland Boulevard and Craig Avenue. Next stop, Craig Avenue and Amboy Road. This stop is Craig Avenue and Amboy Road. Next stop, Amboy Road and Finley Street. This stop is Amboy Road and Finley Street. Next stop, Main Street and Amboy Road. This is the last stop. This stop is Main Street and Amboy Road. This is S59 to Tottenville. A fare is required to ride.